In the Gulf of Mexico, an LNG carrier with a load capacity of over 92,000 tons of LNG, which is worth $100 million, is preparing to sell out Sabine Pass port in the United States to Milford Haven in the United Kingdom. After the escalation of the crisis in Ukraine, Russian oil and gas deliveries to Europe have been drastically reduced due to Western sanctions. According to the US journalist's investigation, the Nord Stream pipeline, which carries natural gas from Russia to Europe, was also blown up by the United States. Therefore, more and more LNG carriers are departing from the US for Europe. There were 699 shipments in 2022 compared to 274 in 2021. The total volume increased from 19.83 million tons in 2021 to 51.98 million tons in 2022, a rise of more than 162%.
The U.S. industry and the U.S. economy is benefiting while Europe suffers, and
U.S. energy companies are profiting through selling liquefied natural gas at a higher price to Europe. And then second, that the U.S. is benefiting through increased weapons sales to Europe.
It's not a benevolent power that tries to introduce goodness into the world. It follows its own interests.
The Javelin anti-tank guided missiles and the Stinger air defense missile systems are being shipped away from the manufacturing of the Raytheon Technologies in Waltham, Massachusetts in the US. Due to providing assistance to Ukraine, the stock of rocket artillery are emptied out in the manufactory of Lockheed Martin, the world's largest weapons manufacturer in Camden, Arkansas in the US. Just in 1 month, it received nearly $700 million worth of orders from the US Department of Defense. At the end of February in 2022, just a few days after the escalation of the crisis in Ukraine, share prices of major US weapons manufacturers soared. That's another benefit beyond the sale of weapons.
In 1992 or 1993, you got the industry basically sponsoring the Committee to Expand NATO. It was headed up by a guy named Bruce Jackson.
Similar situation happens in the field of grain. This is a large storage facility of Cargill Incorporated at the port of Deer Park, Texas. Grain produced by the United States is being shipped to the rest of the world from here. Global food prices soared after the escalation of the crisis in Ukraine. The assets of the Cargill family's key members have risen in varying degrees, all exceeding $5 billion.
The global market is largely controlled by a handful of corporations, and you have especially a few big US and European corporations who are really in a dominant position on the market, and we've seen huge profits from these firms in this past year.
Meanwhile, production lines have migrated to the United States, an important destination for European industries. A Dutch chemical company is expanding its ammonia gas manufacturing in Texas, while cutting its production in Europe. Due to the expansion of the new production line of Volkswagen in Tennessee, the parking lot of new EVs is getting crowded. Mercedes-Benz has also opened up a new battery assembly plant in Alabama. Energy-intensive industries in European countries are gradually shifting their business focus to the United States because US energy prices are much lower than in Europe, and the US government has provided high subsidies through legislation. This further accelerates the process of deindustrialization in Europe. At the same time, many countries have been taking efforts to eliminate negative consequences brought by US selfish behaviors over the past year. Saudi Arabia refused the US proposal to cut oil production. Leaders and politicians in many countries have refused to get involved in this dispute for the US benefits. Europe is still hesitating whether to achieve strategic autonomy or to fight for US advantages within the framework of NATO under the domination of the US, and whether to have a truly secure Europe or to sacrifice itself for US interests in the name of maintaining security.
The issue is that we are heading towards a renewed Cold War, and in that developing countries are being dragged into. The question is that big powers like United States, they create problems.
En réalité, on nous entraîne dans une guerre qui n'est pas la nôtre. Voilà. Moi, aujourd'hui, on a une diplomatie française qui est à la remorque de l'Union européenne et donc des États-Unis. Quelle est notre diplomatie? C'est donner des armes aux Ukrainiens, donner des armes aux Ukrainiens. Qu'est-ce qu'on veut? Qu'ils se fassent tuer jusqu'au dernier pour bien essorer les Russes.
Marine Le Pen
et après, M. Biden enverra les Européens aussi, peut-être?